What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trick 10s. Today we have a 2006 1448 Polarkraft. We actually redid one of these not that long ago. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, I definitely appreciate that. But you will remember that we did the whole front deck on this, and we did some storage compartments into this rear bench. Now this build is going to be very similar. The only difference is instead of putting the two hatches into this back bench, we're going to be doing the live well. This thing has a stupid live well in it. It's retarded. I mean, the live well that's in there is so small, you can't really keep fish alive in it. There's no way to plumb it without cutting into this whole bench. And on top of that, it's a riveted boat, and the live well has rivets that go through the live well and through the bottom of the hull. Whoever engineered this, you are a fucking genius. I'm gonna turn this camera around. I'm gonna show you guys exactly what's going on with this boat, what we plan to do with it, and how we're gonna do it. You know how this works. Let's get back to work. All right, here she is. She's got a sweet little Suzuki. Those things are badass. Pretty sure that one has the upgraded 20 horsepower ECU. Now the outside has a pretty cool little paint job on it. I don't know if he did that. I don't think that's stock, but I don't know. It's kind of cool, I think. It's got some nice new decals on there. It's gonna be a cool little build for him. I mean, these Polarkrafts are pretty decent boats. Considering they're riveted, if you were to get a riveted boat, well, Polarkraft is probably one of the better versions of what you can get. But check out this live well. And this thing is, God, so stupid. Look, you got rivets in there going through the bottom of the boat. Why? I don't know. And I mean, it's literally, this is like 14 inches square and it's like 20 inches deep. Well, I guess it's good for panfish. You know, you're putting some little short guys in there, but you can't plumb it. So you'd have to plug it up the bottom and fill it up with water, and it's retarded. What we're gonna do, we're gonna cut this out. In order to get this out, because you can see it sticks back up underneath here, about an inch. So we're gonna have to cut this along this corner seam of the bench on both sides around. That way we can take this whole top out. We can get to this actual live well box, take that out, and then fill up the holes that are in the bottom that are all jacked up. Then we're gonna dig all the foam out that's on either side of it. One side we're gonna run a overflow, and we're gonna drop our new live well tank in, weld our drain through the bottom of the boat, and on the other side, we're going to have an electrical panel hatch that's gonna drop in, and underneath that is gonna have access to the pumps for the fill and the recirculate. Then from there, we're gonna frame from this bench up to the front existing bench. Now with this, we're gonna drop in two hatches. We're gonna do like we did in the last video with a port and a starboard hatch, and in the center, we're gonna have a base post for his seat base. And then underneath that, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to put a floor in here. Way when he puts all his stuff in here, it's not just getting trapped all down these bottom ribs of the boat. I have worked on this boat in the past. I made this bracket right here and welded this on for him a while ago, just so he can get his trolling motor hooked up with his quick release trolling motor bracket. And now we're on to the first real build stage of this boat. He's gonna have a couple stages because he wants to do a floor and the back bench and a transom hatch back there. So this is stage one though. We're gonna basically get from the bow of the boat back to the bench seat, finished up, live well, storage compartments, big front deck area, and then we'll come back and we'll worry with this a little bit later on when he gets ready. All right guys, let's get back to work. All right, so due to the sake of time, we are going to let Austin frame this out at home. Now, need a little bit of extra cash, and we got a lot of other stuff going on. So he's gonna take this home with him this weekend, and he's going to get this whole front deck area framed out. That way we can get our hatch sizes and everything, and we can figure out how we're gonna lay out the rest of this bench right here. We're gonna go ahead and cut this hole in here though, and open this thing up, and we'll circle back with Austin after he gets all this finished up. What do you think about that, Austin?
Let's get back to work.
All right, Austin made some good progress on this Polarkraft. He got the whole front deck framed in, and we went ahead and we figured these out last week, how we were gonna make our live well hatch and electrical panel hatch. So we got those hatches made and staged up. Now this looks really good. It's exactly the way we did the other Polarkraft. Some big doors, port and starboard, seat base post in the center here, and we'll have a couple little sheets to finish that off. Now we are gonna have to put a floor in here, and a customer hit me up. He's talking about putting a battery tray in here so we can run the cables up for his trolling motor. Still got to figure that out, but Austin's gonna take it back home tonight, do a little bit more work on it. Now that we got these two hatches staged up the way we want them, he's gonna go ahead and cut out this deck. Now basically he's just gonna cut it right on this corner up across here and back down this corner all the way down. We'll leave about 2 inches on that side, that way we have something to tie into. We're gonna have a little sheet over there, but that'll allow us to open up the whole top of this bench, and then we'll be able to pull out all that foam. And he's still got to dig out the existing live well that's in there, because this live well is tiny, and obviously, you know, we're not going to leave that in there. It's got these rivets in there and stuff. He's gonna have to clean those up and weld all those solid, because the new live well we put in there, it's going to be like 30 inches by 14 inches, and I don't know, maybe 14 inches deep, somewhere in that ballpark. So he's going to get this bench part of it finished up tonight. When he comes back, we'll circle back up with him, and then we'll get on to finishing this thing up. Let's get back to work. Alright guys, so obviously I'm at home now. We're in my new workshop, and Austin did a killer job on the boat though. He just didn't have enough time. He's heading back to Galax for the weekend. He's gotta go back to the house. He's thinking about actually renting this house out. Fingers crossed that it works out for him, because if it does, he might actually come and live here and rent the upstairs apartment for me, and then we would really be able to kill some projects if he was right here with me all the time. But anyways, what he did on this front deck right here, now this is all me. This is exactly how I laid his stuff out. Austin learned a lot, and he's crushing it. I mean, this is perfect. I could not do this any better myself. It's exactly the way I would lay it out. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I've been doing this for 22 years, and I think it's the best way and the easiest way for the way we're gonna lay this thing out. Now, we did make some other pieces for this. We got these side pieces in here to go on the sides, and either of these big hatches that open up, and I got some little filler plates that are gonna go up here around the seat base. And also, he went ahead and he made the live well. We put the recessed drain in the bottom of that live well. I'm getting ready to hook that up and get this thing welded in here solid, because I'm got a million things going on. I'm trying to do this whole remodel on the house. I'm literally like 95% done with the house, but I got to take a night or two, wrap this project up, and that will be one less thing that's on my plate. So I'm going to get into this right now. I'm going to pull this live well out of here. I'm going to tack on the drain tube that's going on to it. It's going to run through the bottom of the hull. I'm going to try to get that staged up where I want it to go and attach that into this existing bench. And then I'll be able to figure out exactly where these hatches are going to be. I'm going to shove some foam around this live well to insulate it. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to run the electronics pan on the other side of it and hook up all the pumps. Let's get back to work. All right, so as you just saw, I got this live well drain stub on here, and I see that mark on there. That's how it drops through the bottom of the hole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it right on that line, clean it up a little bit, and then when I install this thing, it's gonna drop down through that hole, and I'll weld that from the bottom of the boat. Now I got that thing welded on both sides, obviously, and then that weld on the bottom I'll make pretty beefy. But before I drop that in permanently, I gotta go ahead and I gotta finish up these holes right here. That's where this stupid ass live well was riveted through the bottom of the hole. So I'm gonna weld those 4 holes up after I cut this off, and then drop this in here, stage it up where it needs to be. weld it permanently, and I'm probably gonna make some like angles that come off the sides of the live well, tack it to the live well, and then shoot some rivets up into here just to hold it steady and in place from the top. That way I'll be able to figure out the rest of my plumbing and all that stuff. Let's get back to work. All right, so we got the live well welded permanently. I welded it from the bottom of the boat. Obviously it's in there, it's not going anywhere. I'm gonna leave that staged up like that. What we gotta do now is figure out this electrical panel hatch right here. Now this is gonna be basically a removable pan that gives him access. We're gonna hook his pumps up in here for his fill and his recirculate. So I'm gonna get that staged up in just a second, but what I really need to do is get this pan figured out. This is the drop-in pan. Austin killed that. It goes just like that. And then inside of there, we've got this little 6-gang fuse panel. And then we've got our 4-gang switch panel. So this thing is pretty simple. It's just got 4 switches on it. Now we are going to remove these wires back here. I'll show you all how to do that in a minute. But what I really need to do is get this thing staged up so I can go ahead and drill all my holes. We're going to set it up something like that. We're going to leave him some more room in here in case he wants to add some extra stuff in here. But I need to use 3 of these switches. We're going to have one for the main fill, one for the recirculate, and we're going to have one for a light. We're going to throw an LED light inside of this live well. So 3 of these switches we're going to use. One's just going to be open and fair game for him. He'll probably come back and end up hooking that up for his nav lights. But what I'm going to do is stage both of these about where they're going to be, mark them out, lay them out. We got to cut a hole for this, obviously, to recess through because it's going to mount that way, obviously. And then over here on this one, we're going to have a hole over here for all his negative sides to come in, and then his positive on this side. And then I got to put some holes on either side of this fuse block right here because we've got to be able to pull the wires into where the fuses are going to be for all the accessories. I want to get that done now because I want to paint this whole box right here, and I need to get that finished up so it can dry while I'm doing some other stuff. Then I'm going to get onto this live well. I got to run an angle across the live well on either side. I'm probably going to add like an angle onto that and then attach it from the side right here with a rivet or something, front and back. That way the live well is held up here in place. I'm going to pack some foam around this and insulate it, and then we'll install this thing permanently. Let's get back to work. so it's a wrap. It's all done. Pretty cool little project. You see what we did. This guy's electrical panel box here. Big live well right in front of that. Then up here, these two compartments, just like the other Polarkraft we did, these open up like a pair of French doors. A nice storage inside of there, divider, and a battery tray. Turned out pretty dope. Went ahead and put his seat base there in the center. I don't know what we're gonna do with the rest of this. Eventually we'll probably come back and end up turfing it. He was already talking about putting a floor and doing something with his back bench area, but the build turned out pretty sick. Austin and I crushed this one. We got a lot of other stuff coming down the pipeline, guys. Should be a very interesting end of the year. All right, guys, so I appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. Another project, man. Polarkraft 1448. We wrapped this one up pretty quick. Now, if you guys are looking to get some metal work like this done, send me an email, professionalwelding@gmail.com. If you want any merch, check that out on trick10s.net. If you guys want to check out my products, go look at my website. It's trick10sjohnboats.com. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get back to work.